Welcome and good morning. It's Mike Ferry and welcome to Mike Ferry TV. It is the week of October 17th. Right now we are in the Diplomat Hotel in Hollywood, Florida. We are doing the Superstar Retreat this week and I'm recording for obviously you folks this week today. And it's interesting because, you know, as we've done these retreats now for 30 years, which when I say it, it's almost hard for me to say, 30 years of the retreats. And what's great about it is the audience, the agents, people like yourself, are more excited all the time about the opportunity that you have, what you can accomplish, what you can do. So one of the things we talked about on the tour on the East Coast the last 7 or 8 weeks was the ability to create a lot of personal power in everything that you do. So at the retreat this past week, what I did is I opened up on day one, and I didn't do this in July, so I want you to listen carefully. And I talked about how does an individual like yourself develop a lot of personal power? Personal power being the ability to control in a situation, control an environment, to attract people to you because of your personal strength, your knowledge, etc. And we talked about it a lot, and I want to share some thoughts with you today on this because I really do believe that if we go back to the conversation, which we've now had for 7 or 8 months, how does a seller select a great agent like you to list their home? One of the categories was, of course, the ability for us to, to exude and or to show a lot of personal power when we're working with a seller. So I wrote down this question: how does an individual, how do I develop more personal power when you're presenting, when you're prospecting, when you're presenting an offer, showing property to a buyer, negotiating a contract, and or doing your job at the highest level every single day? I have a whole bunch of random ideas for you. There's no order of importance. I want you to watch and listen carefully. I wrote down number 1. You develop personal power by the words that you use when talking to a prospect or a client, the words you use. Now, the example I can give you, you walk into the house with the seller and seller says, well, how are you? I'm fine. Oh, I'm okay. Gosh, do you like my house? Oh, it's so pretty. Those are not words that a person that has any type of power would ever use. So what we have to do is we have to understand that the scripts that we have written are designed to create personal power for you because the scripts are a series of questions. And you and I both know that a professional sales script always starts with, continues with, and ends with good, solid questions. So therefore, when personal power, we show that you sit down with the seller and you say, I have 3 questions I need to ask to get this presentation started. Question number 1, do you folks still have to sell your home? They're going to smile and say yes, because you've pre-qualified. Question number 2, do you want to price it to sell today, tomorrow, or the next day, or keep it on the market for a long time? Well, we don't want to give it away. I don't want you to, but do you want to get it sold? Yes, we do. And number 3, would you like me to handle the sale for you? So the personal power is the words that you use, the questions that you use, or in essence, here's a new thought for all of you. Try using the scripts when you are on a presentation. That's what they're there for. Now think about this. The actors, the actresses, the singers, the dancers, the entertainers, they're all scripted 100%. And they're not allowed to ever change the script, go off the script, vary the script. You stay on the script because that gives you the power to do your job. I wrote the second way is to understand the difference between selling and telling. Now watch, I wrote down a question. Why do we need to ask questions? And the answer is because that's how we control a conversation. A person that has personal power controls the conversation. But then I wrote down, why do we not ask questions? And the answer is we're afraid of the answers, or we don't want to hear the answers that they give. Well, now think about this. You walk into the seller's home and you're afraid to say, do you still have to sell your home? Because you're afraid they may say, well, we've changed our mind, we're not sure, we're maybe going to rent it out, maybe we're going to wait 3 or 4 months. You don't want to hear the answer, so you don't ask the question. But see, people that are non-sales people in real estate are telling instead of selling. It's so nice to be here. You have such a beautiful home. I work so hard. I want to talk about my company and how great I am. I want to talk about you and your puppy and your kids and your furnishings. See, telling does not get people involved in a conversation. Selling, asking questions, gets them involved. Personal power revolves around getting people involved, taking the conversation away from yourself and giving the conversation to them. How do you give them the conversation? Through asking a lot of questions. Third, I write down clear enunciation The word makes me enunciate properly of the words you use. During the tour that I did, and we started on August 14th in the Midwest, and we went to the Northeast and all during the South, during this great tour, we talked to about 45, 50 different companies. The most common thing that I had happen was people would walk up before the seminar, at the break at the end, and ask questions, which I invite. I like a lot of participation. But because today in North America we have now hundreds of nationalities, all these wonderful people coming in from all over the world to enjoy the benefits that you and I have in North America, which is the opportunity to make money, to be independent contractors, to be entrepreneurs, to list and sell real estate, to make a lot of money, to have a home, to have a family, to grow, to develop. All those benefits, they're so exciting. And they get real excited, and then the accents from the country they came from takes over their conversation. And what would happen is I would stand there and listen to them, and I would have no idea what they were saying because they weren't enunciating the words. And what I would say to them is this: there's two issues in enunciating to create personal power. Number one, not everybody you're talking to has your accent, whatever that accent may be. Therefore, if you get excited, which you do, and you start to talk a little faster, which happens, and then you get more excited to talk faster, they have no idea what you're talking about. They just nod their head and then wait for you to leave. Enunciate your words. Accents are wonderful, and they give away who you are, and they tell people where you came from, but they can be a detriment in enunciating words to get people to understand what you're saying so you can have the control you want, which is the personal power. But I also say to everybody, slow down your speech pattern if you want to take control. Slow down your speech pattern just a little bit, because we've got to get the customer to understand not only the message, the words, but the power we have to get the job done for them. I wrote down a fourth thought, okay? Our smile, our firm handshake, nodding our heads in a positive manner. You know, it's interesting. I don't think there's anybody that is new to selling or experienced that isn't a little bit tense at times when they go on a listing presentation. It's normal. It's okay. I've had people say to me, I don't like to shake hands because my hands are sweaty. Carry a handkerchief before you walk up to the door. Dry your hands off, because a firm handshake is a way to create some personal power. The smile on your face creates personal power. Why? Because a smile draws them into you, where a frown pushes them away. So what we have to think about is, how do we create personal power? Through our smile, our handshake, nodding our head, getting them to nod their head to agree with you. Because see, once they start agreeing with you, they're getting closer to acceptance, and the closer they are to acceptance, the closer they are to signing a contract, which is, of course, the ultimate power that you're looking for. I wrote down number 5. And the next way to create personal power is, believe it or not, our business attire. Now, you know, I love the millennials. They got the man bun, the 2-day beard, they got the t-shirt on, the jeans, they're cool, Here's the problem. That is not the client base most of us work with. There's a certain level of expectation that a seller and buyer has of a professional real estate salesperson. And part of that expectation, of course, is your energy, your enthusiasm, your smile. Part of that expectation is your firm handshake, having the right things to say, knowing your business very well, but also the attire you have. Do you look like a professional? Here's the best example I can give you. You get on a Delta Airlines flight at the Atlanta airport, and the pilot's standing at the door in jeans and a t-shirt. You're going to get off the plane. There's no way you're going to ever put up with that kind of stuff. So what I want you to think about is, how does the personal attire affect what they see, what they hear, and how they respond? I wrote down this: overdressing is more impressive than underdressing in terms of your attire. And then the last point I want to give you today, and we're going to continue this next week, and probably one of the more important on developing personal power, the tone of your voice. On Monday of this week, I did a little couple hours of training for our coaches, which we do all the time. And I'm sitting at lunch next to one of our great coaches, and the man has a very soft Southern voice. And he said to me at lunch, "What can I do to become a better coach?" And I think I took him off guard. I said, "Strengthen your voice." He went, "What?" I said, "Strengthen your voice." He goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "I mean, you can't talk like that to a client." He said, well, I'm from the South, that's how we talk. I said, yeah, but see, not all your clients are from the South, and they're not all used to that. Strengthen your voice. It is a position of power. It gives you power to have a clear, enunciated word with a strong voice. I tell people all the time, you can strengthen your arm with exercise, you can strengthen your voice with exercise. Strengthen your voice to create power. Now here's what I want you to do. I want you to watch today's message, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Because even though there's only 5 or 6 or 7 points involved today, every one of these points can dramatically make a difference as to what's going to happen to you long-term with your business. The more power you have, the more listings you take. The more listings you take, the more sales you make. The more sales you make, the more transactions you have. The more transactions you have, the more money you make. And then everybody seems to be happier with the power that they have. Your personal power represents the level of income you're going to get, you're going to have. Work on it, strengthen it today. Talk to you next week.